As I went over, I saw the safety chains. They were horizontal. And I thought the boat was turning over, so I struck out away from it.
If I'd have been the other side, I'd stood a better chance of keeping in the boat, which some of the other crew were. And of course, when this wave hit me, I just went.
Well, I thought she was going over. I remember being underwater when she came up right. I then realised there was half the crew gone. I saw Blogg, my father, not too far away. I saw two more members of the crew, Shrimp and Kelly, together.
But it seems like hours, it was probably minutes, and you don't see anything, and seas are breaking over, and you're gasping for breath. And then I saw Western and Orley in two arms, doing a backstroke coming towards me. And it turns out to be Kelly Harrison.
Well, I come out of the water alongside the Shrimp. He said, keep your mouth shut and dive under the waves. I thought, part out of there, I can't get you near all this lot, so I just simply kicked my sea boots off, which were, you know, because we couldn't buy any during the war, so you had to get what you could, so I had a pair of nines on, which come off right easy.
And then he said, well, I'm looking this way. And he's still laying on his back, and he starts to swim to leave it again, and I'm saying, look, the boat was there, you mustn't go this way.
But when I kicked my sea boots off, I was flat on the water, and I went like an old duck. I went everywhere the waves took me.
But he told me afterwards that he got on top of it, and it was carrying him along at a terrific rate, and he said, oh, please, God, let it carry me right to ashore, sort of thing, you know?
So I just went with the waves, and there was all these crates going past, and I couldn't get hold of one of them to get on.
I've heard people say that death by drowning is a pleasant death, but it's not. It's terrible agony, and you're sort of gasping for breath, and, oh, well, I'll finish it. It was, in fact, warmer and more pleasant in the water. The farther you were in the water, the warmer you were, because the wind was cold, you know. And I did, in fact, stick my head in the water. I thought, well, I might as well finish it as quick as possible, you know. Then I couldn't stand this pain any longer, and I thought, well, I must have another gasp of breath. And opened my eyes, and there's the lifeboat. And there they all are, except in Kelly, and I can't see Walter Allen. I can see Henry Blogg being helped along the deck. He'd then been picked up. I could see him being helped along the deck with my father. I could see them disappear into the canopy. I can hear somebody shout something. And I'm shouting to them. I tried to shout to them, come on, you buggers. You know. And I had a feeling of pride that, you know, this thing is still upright and that's still there, sort of thing, you see. And then I see my father and Henry disappear into the canopy, and I see my brother, my eldest brother, come out of the canopy and come along the deck and take the rope from somebody else that they were preparing to throw to me. And I could see him call it in his hand. And I knew in my own mind that it seems if I had been a mile away, that he would have reached me with this rope. I saw the boat go up on a sea and roll away from me a bit, and then I knew that he was waiting for that. And when he got the maximum height that he would get, the rope would come, and it dropped right on my chest. 4 or 5 lovely big coils, you know? And I had to turn around this hand and I turned around that one, and in my teeth as well. And they were pulling me in. And then another sea broke on her side, and I thought, well, she would come towards me and push me under again. And I stuck my feet out as they pulled, and I hit the side, and they kept pulling, and I was on board.
I don't know who it was pulling me in, but anyhow, they got me in, and then they give me a drop of rum, which I don't take as a rule, in case I got a lot of water inside of me. And then they took us to Yarmouth, after they picked the other chap up, what died. I was the last one picked up alive.
Kelly Harrison was safe. And Shrimp Davis. And his uncle, Jack Davis, the second coxswain. And the 65-year-old coxswain, Henry Blogg. But the last man to be pulled back into the lifeboat Walter Allen, had been in the water too long.
We got him. We tried to revive him on the deck. He did make an effort, but he actually came round and he tried to put his, what we call mittens on. It's a glove. And he was on his hands and knees. We carried him aft. He then sort of collapsed again.
This was, of course, the worst thing that had ever happened to the Cromer lifeboat crew, you see. People had been washed overboard before and been retrieved and had been all right. But this is the first man that had ever been lost, a Cromer lifeboat. And so this, I mean, this was a bad thing.
The destroyer signalled out to us that the Cromer boat must return to its station because they were in a pretty deplorable state. Well, they must have been. The sea wasn't all that warm either. I mean, deep sea is just like colder than, say, something alongside the land. So the lifeboat turned. It came in as close as possible to us. Somebody waved an arm, and we'd hear, and there's some lusty old voices, you know, the fellow. We'll be back.
And they headed for Yarmouth to refuel, unable to land back in Cromer in those heavy seas. The Yarmouth lifeboat had come out too, and now made several attempts to get a line aboard the English trader. But conditions were becoming increasingly dangerous, and as darkness fell, they too had to return. After struggling for more than 3 hours through the storm, the Cromer boat arrived with one of its crew dead and the rest utterly exhausted. But Coxswain Blogg wouldn't give up.
The only man who had the telephone was the coxswain, so he just rang, I suppose, the Coast Guards to say he was there, and his wife to say, well, will you now phone somebody to bring us and gather up and see all the wives, and which Aunt Annie, as we call it, would have to do. She'd have to go around and see everybody and say, well, all, you know, the dry clothes together and everything, and spare boots if they got them and things, and get them together, and we'll have a taxi or a van or a lorry or something and take them through.
And the young fishmonger next door to us, and
that's right.
Took them through in his little fish van and brought the wet things back. But we didn't know till then that Mr. Allen had died, you know. 5 of them had been washed overboard, my husband included.
Yes.
I mean, this had never happened to our lifeboat in all its life. In all the years I can remember. I've never heard of any accident happen with Cromer boat. You hear of it up the coast, but you never think it's going to be Cromer boat.
The second night of the storm, the crew of the Cromer lifeboat had to rest after their 10 gruelling hours at sea. They intended to make another attempt at dawn. And on the English trader, the men stayed huddled on the bridge, expecting their ship to break up beneath them at any moment.
All we could hear was the sea crashing over the ship. Then the moon went down, so we knew it was getting late. It got dark. You could hear great grinding noises underneath and bits coming apart. And when they came apart, it was just like somebody tearing, say, the 4th bridge down. Suddenly I just didn't remember anymore. I went to sleep. Our chart room, I suppose, was about, 10, 12 feet by 6 feet. That had the big chart table in it, with little cupboards, and a little short settee. And there was 44 men to get in there for the night.
But while there was still a chance, any chance of rescuing those men, Henry Blogg couldn't rest.
Our coxswain, he decided that the best time would be 4 o'clock in the morning, so he got permission from the naval authorities to come out.
At 4 o'clock in the morning, October, of course, it's pitch dark. We've got about 3 hours to daylight sort of thing. And so Henry had to find his way through, out of the Yarmouth, and through the Cockle Gateway, which was then not lighted. And this was a bit of a job.
No lights. And I stood there and I thought it was a very good bit of navigation with no lights.
Then as it grew lighter, I heard the 3rd mate called back to the captain. He said, it's like a mill pond this morning, sir. He said it was like a mill pond. All right. It was much calmer than it was the day before. There were still these terrific seas running. But there was a hope. I mean, the lifeboat could get a line of boys because there was no wind. So the captain said, if the lifeboats can only come out now, he said, we'll get off.
When the Cromer lifeboat did arrive back at 8 that morning, very little remained of the English trader.
The only thing left was the bridge where the men were on, and a mast. And when we saw her, we wondered, were they still there? You know, had they survived this night? Were they still there? Then you sort of see the bridge and say, well, you know, but it's still whole anyway, you know, there must be somebody there. And then a man's hand come out of the wheelhouse, you know. You know, thank God they're still there, you know.
They'd been caged up all night. Never known when she got break to pieces. I would say that, to be honest, what we suffered and what they suffered was even worse. I know we nearly turned over, but what they had, they was rats in the trap.
The Cromer boat had a great big swing right alongside the ship. Great big hooks come aboard there. One of these old Norfolk voices bawled out, come on lads, let's get out of it. And the captain said, all right lads, abandon ship. And you know, I felt sorry for him when he said that. Anyway, because we clattered down these old ladders, fell into the lifeboat. We didn't trouble getting in it, we just fell in. Whichever way we got in, we got in. We went head first, it was just the same. They'd catch you at the bottom.
It was 44, I think. 44 chaps and one canary.
The destroyer signalled over to Cox and Blogg. Was he going to bring the survivors aboard the destroyer? So the old coxswain looked at us and he said, what do you want to do, lads? Do you people want to go aboard, he said, the destroyer? I said, no, we don't want to go aboard the destroyer. He said, well, he said, you know, he said, we've got everything waiting for you ashore. No, we don't want to go on board the destroyer, we'll come with you. You saved us, we'll come with you. So we're getting away from the old wreck at this time, because that's all we could call the English trader now was a wreck. And I noticed, I was looking at him, before I went down, I think it was the engine room I went and sat down in. Noticed some great big tears rolling down the sides of his face, because he'd achieved something that he didn't think he was going to do.
There was nothing much said, sort of things, you know. No one was shouting and cheering for joy or anything. They probably, like us, had big lumps in their throat and couldn't say anything anyway. But as we got on the way and got the rum bottle out, and then, of course, and the cigarettes, and then things came, you see. But they did tell us that when the sea struck us, they could actually see the lifeboat's keel, and she must have went right on her beam ends. You know, however she didn't go over, well, I don't know. Since 1941, there's been about 9 or 10 lifeboat disasters when the whole crews or part of crews have been lost completely and whole lifeboats have been lost. We often, you know, we think sometimes, well, had she gone over, the whole of the Davis family, from the fishing fraternity anyway, would all been lost. And you wonder, you know, whether this could happen again, you know. And it can happen any time.